على النبي هيلا صل على النبي يا مهون صل على
For well over 20 years, Kathleen Kennedy cultivated relationships with Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Clint Eastwood, Martin Scorsese, Robert Zemeckis, and others to make a name for herself in Hollywood. She started out as John Milius's assistant, and then Spielberg hired her out from under him, and so there began this relationship. And through the relationship, she never really, how can I say, she never really impressed anybody in a way that would make her a formidable producer. She married Frank Marshall, who is a talented creative producer, and they basically formed a partnership. Here they are filming, I believe, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and or maybe Last Crusade. But this relationship has been a 40-year one, and Kennedy has never really stepped out from under their shadow until she took over Lucasfilm. And it's been very interesting watching the relationships of these people throughout the years. When I was a kid and I saw her name as an assistant producer, I saw her name as a producer, I thought, I want to do that. I want to do that. She was one of those people who got a chance to work with George Lucas and Harrison Ford and Steven Spielberg. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to be who she was. Little did I realize what a phony what a shell game and what a phony bunch of shit it really was. And it took the LA premiere of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny to show us what they actually thought. Spielberg walks in and the whole crowd goes nuts. I mean, look, if you are Kathy Kennedy and you expect for the crowd to go nuts when he walks in, well, good luck on that, because they're not. They're going to pay attention to him. 3-time Oscar winner, creator of the summer blockbuster, the director of Jaws, Close Encounters, E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, and other movies that are just not just great, but asterisks on the history of Hollywood, saying Steven Spielberg directed this, Steven Spielberg produced this. Okay. And then we get George Lucas. George Lucas, the greatest storyteller in Hollywood history, the creator of the Star Wars, which is the biggest grossing franchise of all time. Marvel can kiss my ass on that. So can Lord of the Rings. Sorry, J.R.R. Tolkien. And Indiana Jones, which is right up there. Kennedy latched herself on to these two guys and politicked her way in. She politicked her way past a talented executive and filmmaker like Rick McCallum to usurp what was rightfully his, which is the presidency of Lucasfilm. George gave her that spot. She was his co-president. And then when he sold, I think with her helping a little bit, pushing him along, he gave her full authority over Lucasfilm, and we know what happened. We know how bad it went. Because Kennedy is not who she's ever been reported to be or who the press thinks she is. Now, I want you guys to watch this video because this is key. Watch how everyone's standing. Watch what happens at the end. Watch how George is standing away from her, moving to his left. Watch how she claps when Stephen introduces George. It's barely a clap, but also her husband's doing the same thing. Then Stephen introduces Harrison, barely a clap from her and Frank, and then maybe she was expecting him to say, and Kathy Kennedy, blah, blah, blah. Instead, he says, and the guy who basically kept the beat of the movies alive with his music, whatever he said, John Williams. Steven Spielberg purposely ignored her on the stage. He purposely ignored her. And it's fascinating to me watching this because when the curtain goes up, Frank walks off the stage and she doesn't clap at all. So watch the video again and let me know what you think, okay? Because this is a public canceling of Kathleen Kennedy by Steven Spielberg. And it is harsh. It's probably not going to be obvious to the Black Pills or the SJWs, but by him not acknowledging she's even standing there is a canceling, and it's a BFD, so watch.
One last thing. There are three indispensable people without whom none of us would be here tonight, and that starts with the person who created Indiana Jones, George Lucas. The person who is Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. And the person who is the glue to all five of these films that gave us all of our rhythm and all of our melody, the great maestro, John Williams.
Schön, mein Herr. Weg. Tickets, please.
Was? No ticket.
What's interesting to me is that the reaction of Frank Marshall here, he just goes off the stage like he's embarrassed. Maybe he was supposed to. But the fact of the matter is, Steven Spielberg does not acknowledge Kathleen Kennedy. Unless part of the video is we didn't see her handing him the microphone, but I think we would have seen that. Okay. Kennedy was canceled at that premiere, okay? Spielberg was probably furious with the idea of hiring Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I think that might have been the breaking point in all this, why he left. I think she was negotiating with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. He said, no, I don't like her. I want to find someone who's a little less harsh. And Kennedy basically just said, I'm ignoring you now. And he probably didn't like the scripts. And he was like, you're doing to Indy what you did to Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. And I don't like it. Okay, maybe Star Wars did need Steven Spielberg to step in when the sequel trilogy was being made to say, this is fucking bullshit. We're not doing this to these characters. And the reason simply is this. George Lucas and Steven Spielberg have been friends since the 60s. They used to follow John Milius around the Warner Brothers lot along with following around Francis Ford Coppola like little ducklings, okay? They're best friends. They're brothers. And if you fuck with a brother and you're a woman, you're the one who's out, period. It doesn't matter how long you've been there, but if you prove yourself to be a conniving, lowlife, lying witch and a phony, and you're basically deliberately pulling shit on the boys to get your spot, well, there you go. Okay, you're going to get removed. Now, there's a picture out there of Kennedy standing between Harrison and, no, not Harrison, but standing between James Mangold and Stephen. And no, maybe, I don't know. I've got her. I'll find the picture and post it on the community notes. She probably should not have been in it. Frank Marshall's not in it. Bob Iger's in it. He's bookending one side. Alan Bergman, his major domo, is on the other side. Okay. Why Frank Marshall's not in it? I don't know, because in my opinion, Raiders of the Lost Ark, he was a bigger deal. Okay. He was the guy in the cockpit of that flying wing. Okay, because the stuntman got hurt. And he'd been doing a lot with Spielberg, and yet he wasn't in the picture. Kennedy is, because she's got to be there as president of Lucasfilm. But the fact of the matter is, Steven Spielberg embarrassed her on the stage at the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny premiere in LA. So now it's been twice she's been embarrassed. Once at Cannes, in front of the world film industry, and now in front of the film industry in Hollywood. And the fact that George showed up, and the fact that Stephen was there, which is a nice reunion for everybody to get together, could mean nothing. It could mean everything. It could mean that the winds of change are coming at Lucasfilm. The fact that he doesn't mention her at all, and the way she's behaving, barely clapping for George, barely clapping for Harrison, not one clap for John Williams, who had absolutely nothing to fucking do with any of this. It staggers me. And the fact that Frank walks off the stage is telling. He didn't want to be up there. It was embarrassing. All right. Spielberg went out of his way to embarrass her for reasons. Okay. You cannot deny that. I know appearances and I know politics. And that was brazen. That was a brazen cancellation in public. This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.